Some of you were worried that I wasn't gonna make a video about this movie, as if I wouldn't take any opportunity to talk about Descendants. Since this movie has come out, I have watched it multiple times. I have forced people to watch it. I keep talking about it to people who do not care, but hopefully, because you clicked on this video, you care. So allow me to indulge in some lengthy Descendants chatter. But first, let me thank the sponsor of today's video, Cook Unity. Cook Unity is a meal delivery platform that connects you with tons of fresh, not frozen, fully prepped meals from award-winning chefs. The meals are handcrafted in small batches in kitchens that are local to you. And can I just say, whoever's working in the Los Angeles kitchen is doing a bang-up job. The meals are delivered to you in this nice cooler bag thing. Then you put them in the refrigerator and they heat up in about 2 minutes. It's super easy to do. Cook Unity offers over 400 meals nationwide each week, including over 45 diets and global cuisines. When you're choosing your meals, you can sort by different proteins, diets like vegetarian and keto, cuisines from around the world, different chefs, and you can filter out ingredients like dairy or nuts. So they have lots of different options to fit all different preferences. Some meals include Arthi Sampath's Creamy Marry Me Chicken. This was chicken in a creamy sun-dried tomato sauce, which is my favorite kind of sauce on anything. She was raised in Mumbai and is a famous TV personality. I also had Brandon Kita's Shiokoji chicken thighs with steamed rice. I admit I wasn't really familiar with what that meant, but it looked really good on the website, and it was amazing. It's marinated chicken, and they include a little container of extra sesame sauce. The chef, Brandon, combines influences from his Japanese heritage with his childhood in LA. I also had Cedric Nicholas's rustic-style French beef ragu. He was born and raised in Versailles, and I actually made this pasta for breakfast because I love pasta and there are no rules. And my mom got up and she was like, "Why does the house smell so savory?" And I was like, "Leave me and my breakfast pasta alone." The food is always super delicious and flavorful, and it feels very fancy. It's not like a lot of other ready meals that you can get at like a grocery store that feel like sad diet food. It's just really yummy food. So if you're interested in trying Cook Unity, they are offering my viewers 50% off their first order. Click the link in the description below and use my code SarahSarah50 to try Cook Unity and get 50% off your first order of chef-made meals delivered fresh to your door. Now let's get into Descendants Wicked Wonderland. The movie unfortunately opens with a cat voiced by Awkwafina. This cat is the daughter of the Cheshire Cat, so this cat is named Chessie. This cat is a character in the movie, but also our fourth wall breaking narrator, which is an odd choice because Descendants has never had a narrator throughout a whole movie before. Like in the first movie, they had Dove Cameron as Mal explain the premise of the world about Auradon and the Isle of the Lost over CGI animated visuals, but it's not like she was then narrating the whole movie. It's possible that since the last movie contained time travel— do I need to explain what Descendants is? Have some of you just stumbled across this video and you don't know or remember anything about Descendants? Okay, so in Descendants, all of the Disney characters live together in one timeline, one universe, one geographical location. Belle and the Beast united all the kingdoms into one European Union-like thing called Auradon. They then created a prison island where they banished all of the Disney villains. Then, like 16 years passed, all of the Disney characters had children. Belle and the Beast's son Ben was going to become a child king, and his first order of business was to bring over some children from the Isle of the Lost, because it is unfair that they were born and raised on a prison island. He brings over 4 kids. The kids are initially going to do an evil scheme on behalf of their parents. Then they decide that they want to be good. There's a lot of teen romance and teen antagonists, and by the third movie, Maleficent's daughter Mal and Belle and the Beast's daughter Ben are getting married, and they decide to bring down the barrier separating the Isle of the Lost from Auradon, freeing all of the villain children and also all of the villains. And I guess there aren't really negative repercussions for freeing all of these villains. Basically everyone in that original trilogy is no longer involved in the project, but Disney wanted to continue making Descendants movies, so they rebooted the franchise with new teen protagonists. We have Red, the daughter of the Queen of Hearts, and Chloe, the daughter of Cinderella and Prince Charming. They were both going to go to Auradon Prep, the high school for Disney characters' children, but then the evil Queen of Hearts had an evil scheme. She was going to behead Cinderella, and to prevent this catastrophe from happening, Chloe and Red use the White Rabbit's pocket watch, which is a time travel device, to go back in time to when their moms were in high school to try and prevent the Queen of Hearts, who at this point is named Bridget, from going evil. There was apparently a prank at a school dance, a la Carrie. Red and Chloe are able to prevent this from happening. They return back to the present, but they have now created a new timeline. And that's where we open the movie. Awkwafina Cat kind of explains most of this to us. I think Awkwafina Cat assumes that we know all of this information, but I'm just making sure that we are on the same page, you know? Honestly, I know that my mom is going to be watching this video, and I don't know how much she remembers, even though I've forced her to watch all of these movies. So Awkwafina Cat provides a recap of the last movie and the time travel shenanigans. I'm not thrilled that this cat is played by Awkwafina. I'm not super familiar with her work. I did do a video where I ranked all of the Disney princess movies, which people constantly disagree with my ranking and also misunderstand that I am ranking the movies and not the princesses. But for that movie, I watched Raya and the Last Dragon because that is technically a Disney princess movie. Don't take it up with me, take it up with the mouse. And she plays one of the main characters in that movie, and I find her distracting. And I also found her distracting in this movie. And it doesn't help that she is a character, but then also keeps breaking the fourth wall and talking to us, the audience. So it's just a lot of Awkwafina Cat. But then we check in on Red and Chloe, and they are hiding the pocket watch in the Wonderland Royal Vault, because they're like, clearly this pocket watch is very powerful, no one should have access to it, we definitely don't want to use it again, so we're gonna hide it away. And then they wake up in their new life. So because we have now made the Queen of Hearts not evil, she, I guess, decided to have another child, because only evil people have one child. So Red now has a sister named Pink. Some people are like, that name is stupid. And it's like, yes, all of their names are stupid. That's kind of one of the core features of Descendants. They never really acknowledge the existential horror of waking up with a teenage sister that you've apparently known your whole life but are meeting for the first time. I think we're sort of meant to understand Red and Chloe seem to have shown up in this world without any knowledge of it, because people keep telling them things that they don't know, that they should know. So like Pink will give Red a hair bow and will be like, this is your favorite bow. And Red is like, what? And no one ever comments on the fact that it's really weird that Red and Chloe don't know a bunch of information about the world that they've been hypothetically living in for the past 16 years. Maybe everyone just thinks they're kind of stupid or just really forgetful. I guess if someone was acting kind of weird, my first assumption wouldn't be that they were a time traveler from a different alternate universe. So I guess it's fine that people don't think it's weird, but I don't know. I would try to be more covert about my lack of knowledge. But to introduce us and the girls to this new world, we get a song called Perfect Princess. Because Red is no longer the daughter of the evil Queen of Hearts, she's the daughter of the good Queen of Hearts, she is no longer a villain kid. She is now a hero kid. The term used to be villain kid, VK, and Auradon kid, AK, but that distinction no longer works because all of the kids, whether they are heroes or villains, are attending school in Auradon because the Isle of the Lost is no longer like an apartheid state. But Red is now a hero kid with a good mom and a new sister. And Chloe's mom, Cinderella, is now even more stuffy and strict than she was before. I like that the girls wake up in bed, and Chloe's bed has the most pillows you've ever seen in your life, other than maybe Shane Hollander. Hollander, do you think is enough? Over the course of the song, the girls complain about how they're now expected to be perfect princesses. They show up to Auradon Prep, where everyone is dancing. We meet two new hero kids. One of them is Robbie Hood, the son of Robin Hood. I know that in Disney's Robin Hood is played by a fox, but someone explained that the woodland creatures are like putting on a performance about the story of the human Robin Hood, I guess. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Is it good? I've never heard anyone be like, oh, I love Disney's Robin Hood movie. I only hear about it in the context of people realizing that they were a furry. The other hero kid we meet is Luis Madrigal. He is the son of Luisa from Encanto. And a lot of bitter adult Descendants fans really hate that. They don't like that Disney is using newer Disney movies that aren't like fairy tale based, which is silly to me because this is a children's franchise and children love Encanto. I'm fine with Disney using new movies that kids are familiar with and love. And it doesn't even really make sense to me because Descendants has always been specifically Disney characters. Like, from movie 1, we had Cruella de Vil. Something like Once Upon a Time was trying to be more generically fairy tale. Like, in their season 1, they had Little Red Riding Hood, which is just generically a fairy tale and not a Disney property. And over time, they included more and more Disney properties and shifted to include newer Disney properties like Frozen, which had just come out at the time. And so with something like that, it makes more sense to me because it went from being slightly more generic fairy tale to just Disney IP. But Descendants was always overtly just Disney IP. Tons of specific references to the Disney movies and songs, and them bringing in newer movies for current 6-year-olds does not bother me at all. Now, I do have to mention, I have not seen Encanto. My understanding is that it's a family and all of them get like special magical powers, and so people also don't like that Luis has the same power as his mom, which is strength. They're like, the whole point is that all of the different kids have all different powers. That's not really how Descendants works. Descendants likes to have the kids be extremely similar to the parents, regardless of the lore of the original and whether it would make sense for the child to have turned out like that. So I can understand if you're a big Encanto fan and you're disappointed that this breaks the lore, but as a big Descendants fan, I never would have imagined them doing it any other way. So they were not going to have this child have his own unique power because that would have taken too long to explain, and then he wouldn't have been an obvious descendant of the parent they were going for. Then we meet our new VKs. We have Max Hatter, who is the son of Maddox Hatter. There's disagreement as to whether Maddox Hatter, who was Red's teacher, like tutor, back in the first movie, and he was good. Now in this timeline, he has turned evil. Some people say that Maddox Hatter is supposed to be the Mad Hatter, and some people say that he is supposed to be the Mad Hatter's son, which would make Max Hatter the Mad Hatter's grandson. In my mind, Maddox Hatter was the Mad Hatter, and they just came up with a name for him that included the word mad because they didn't want to call him Mad because that's not a name. And they do call him Hatter, but I think they just wanted options. But maybe he is the Mad Hatter's son. It doesn't really matter to the plot. So we have Max Hatter, then we have Hazel Hook, who is the daughter of Captain Hook. We have Felix Facilier, who is the son of Dr. Facilier. And at this point, Hook and Facilier have quite a few canonical children in Descendants between the original movies, the original animated series, the books, and now these new movies. I think some characters they just feel like have a cool aesthetic for them to pull from. They just want to keep making pirate characters. I also feel like a strength of Descendants is that they've always tried to include a lot of racial diversity, and Facilier is a character who is already canonically not white. So for a character like Uma, who's the daughter of Ursula from movies 2 and 3, they just sort of decided she was going to be a black girl, which I'm very glad they did that. But I think when they can, they like including diversity that is already canon to the movies. And Dr. Facilier is a good option for that. He also just has a cool vibe. Then we have the Smees. The Smees were in Descendants 3. They were at the time children with no lines, and they were brothers whose dad was Mr. Smee from Peter Pan. But now time has passed, so they are teenagers, and they now have occasional lines. The VKs get a verse in this song, and one of the lines is calling the girls perfect perfect princess Nepo babies. And this song was released before the movie came out. So this was one of the first pieces of information that a lot of people got about this movie was this song. And people hated this line. They were like, a Disney movie using the phrase Nepo babies. I'm like, guys, it's gonna be okay. Because for me, my favorite thing about Descendants is that they're kind of silly and campy and don't take themselves very seriously. And so I love the Nepo babies line. And I think it's funny because it's true. If your mom was Disney Princess Cinderella, you are a Nepo baby. Some of the criticisms people were giving this movie, I was like, you know this is a Descendants movie, right? Can't we just have fun for an hour and a half? Red and Chloe agree that they're gonna figure out this new timeline together. We also get gay background dancers for like 2 seconds. Which, speaking of gay stuff, recently Malia Baker talked about in an interview how originally in the last movie, Descendants Rise of Red, Chloe was going to have a lesbian romance with the daughter of Rapunzel.
Well, this is kind of tea. This is like, there was like an old love story with Chloe, and I thought that was so good. It was Rapunzel's daughter, and she had a whole little section. She had like, I'm just like my, it was so good. It was so good. But no, so that used to be like a whole little section. There was just like a vibe there. That I was like, ooh, is this a love story? This could be so interesting. I'm so curious.
Which I talked about that in my Rise of Red video. It was kind of just a rumor at the time, and it's crazy that Malia confirmed it. But I'm hoping that this means that we might get gay side characters in a Descendants movie at some point. Please. If you think I don't shut up about Descendants now, can you imagine if they put lesbians in it? But for now, all we get is these 2 gay dancers. Then Aquafina Cat comes back and tells us that Maddox Hatter has gone mad looking for the pocket watch. When he was in high school, he saw Red and Chloe use the pocket watch, and he has gone crazy all these years trying to look for it. And he was banished to the Isle for his evil schemes, but now he has been released from the Isle. And now Maddox has made a device called the Oraculum. We don't really get an explanation as to what that is or what it does, but he is able to see that the pocket watch is in the Wonderland vault. He somehow can't see the location of the vault, but he knows that it's there. So he sends drones that look like dodo birds to go look for it. And he cackles evilly. It's really weird to me that these new Descendants movies have villains who are adults. I guess in the first Descendants movie, Kristen Chenoweth as Maleficent was kind of our villain, but I would also argue so was Audrey, daughter of Aurora, and she was a teenager. And then in the subsequent Descendants movies, we had teenage girl villains. We had Uma, daughter of Ursula, and Audrey, daughter of Aurora, who went evil. And I feel like it's more fun and also less weird when the villains are also teenagers, because then it sort of evens the playing field as opposed to an adult person. Descendants Rise of Red, kind of the villain was Red's mom, the Queen of Hearts, but also kind of the villain was another teenager in the past, because a lot of our movie is spent in the past with the parents as teenagers. This movie just has a lot of grown-ups in it. Too much screen time for the grown-ups, in my opinion. Part of what I like about Descendants is that it's like teens getting into hijinks and constantly stopping the movie to have the adults do some acting is not really what I want from a Descendants movie. I also can't imagine that small children are excited to see grown-ups in a Descendants movie. Like, when I was a kid watching Camp Rock, I wanted to see Demi Lovato and the Jonas Brothers. If we stopped the movie dead to watch the camp counselors talk about their past interpersonal conflicts, I would have been annoyed. I'm not in a position to ask a bunch of 6-year-olds what they think of the movie, so I don't know. I'm just saying what I would have thought as a child. I think some of the adult fans like all of the grown-up stuff in this movie, but hot take, I don't. Then Red and Chloe check in with each other, and they're like, yeah, us changing the past really had ramifications on the current future, which, like, yeah, That is how that works. Red then tells us how in the previous world, Max Hatter, Maddox's son, was like a goody two-shoes nerd, and now he's a villain kid. They are really gaslighting us into thinking that Max Hatter always existed. I don't think they ever brought him up before now. I don't think he was mentioned in the last movie, and I don't think he was mentioned in the previous book. Then Red almost falls over, and Luis catches her, and he's like, first rescue's free. I really like Luis. I don't know if that's controversial. He really grew on me. I think he's a charming young man. I've also been watching a lot of Descendants interviews, and I think his actor is really charming. I liked him a lot. I was glad he was here. Then we check in on Rita Ora's Queen of Hearts. She is now good, and so she's being nice to all of her servants and guards. But then Maddox comes in and puts all of her guards to sleep with some sort of drone robot with like a potion gas in it. They argue for a little bit. She's like, I gave you a second chance. Just give up this quest to find the pocket watch. And he's like, tell me where it is. And she's like, no. And then he puts her to sleep too. I think also what's happening with Maddox Hatter is for the first movie, he was cast to be like a serene mentor figure. And now he's this over-the-top villain. And I don't know if they knew he would need to do that when they cast him, and I don't know if I love all of his choices. I also don't love the accent he's doing. Then we check in on the teens again. Max goes to trash talk the hero kids, and Luis is like, no matter what you do, everyone knows that you're just like your father. And Red's like, what's wrong with his father? Which, like, you should know that. Maybe don't admit that you don't know that. But then the trash talking is interrupted because the Queen of Hearts has sent them a message. It is a playing card that talks out loud and tells them that Maddox has captured the queen. The VKs snatch the card from the girls, but then Max gives it back, indicating to us that he's not all bad. Then Pink shows up and freaks out and faints. Pink is a very over-the-top character. She's fun. I like her. Probably my favorite new character is Hazel, though. Then the girls go and ask Cinderella for help. They're like, let's go in and do a rescue mission. And Cinderella's like, no, that's dangerous. There are protocols in place. Apparently Cinderella and Fairy Godmother have told Uma, who has called the council, to make a rescue plan. And the girls are like, that's nothing. Meanwhile, Max is upset that Maddox has done this evil scheme. He doesn't want to be like his father or be blamed for his father's mistakes. And Hazel Hook is like, well, then you should do something about it. And he's like, great idea. Let's go stop my father. She's like, right now? I haven't even had lunch yet. So they're gonna go to the rabbit hole so they can go to Wonderland, because right now they're in Oridon for school, and you have to go through like a portal to get to Wonderland. Then Red and Chloe also go to the rabbit hole because they also want to stage a rescue mission, and the group of VKs, which includes all of the VKs, so Max, Hazel, the Smees, and Felix, and Red and Chloe, all agree to work together. Then the other hero kids, Pink, Luis, and Robbie, also show up. And Pink is like, we came to help, and I brought snacks. But what are they doing here? And the villains are like, we also came to help. And Hazel's like, what snacks did you bring? And the villains are like, Hazel. And she's like, what? I have to feed the Smees every 2 hours. So in the end, everyone agrees that they're gonna work together and try and save the queen. This is, if you are keeping track, 10 people, which is too many people. The first Descendants movie introduced a lot of characters, but they were not all going on a singular quest together. They were split up in between a bunch of different subplots. And also, that movie takes place over a longer period of time. So you can introduce a lot of characters and it doesn't feel so crowded, versus in the third Descendants movie, when they all go on a quest together, and it is like 10 people that then gets whittled down to 7 people. Because it's Mal, Evie, Jay, Carlos, the pirates, Uma, Harry, Gil, and the significant others, Doug, Ben, and Jane, which is 10. And then they have the less important ones stay behind. But even then, in that movie, it was like, wow, a lot of people on this quest. But at least in that movie, we already knew all of those characters. In this movie, all but 2 of the characters are completely new to us. So it just feels kind of overwhelming. I think maybe they wanted to have some comic relief characters and also some characters be expendable so that during fight scenes and stuff, we could leave people behind. And that's why we have a group of 10, but really only 6 of those matter. The other problem with this new version of Descendants is that since the last movie was time travel, we went into the past, met a bunch of characters, and then left all those characters behind. So all of the time that we spent introducing the audience to Bridget, Ella, Uliana, and to a lesser extent all the side characters, we don't get to build on that in this movie. The only characters that are a through line, other than the grown-ups, are Red and Chloe. So if we want any new teen characters, we have to invent them from scratch in this movie, because we can't use anyone from the last movie, which is also really weird from a casting and production standpoint, because you can't reuse any of those actors, which usually Descendants doesn't sign people on for a one-movie deal. Maybe there was some reason behind the scenes where they wanted all of these characters. Whatever. It kind of doesn't matter. It's too late now. We have a bunch of new people. So our giant group of people jumps down the rabbit hole. And in the rabbit hole, Red and Chloe see evil versions of themselves. Red had already seen the evil version of herself in the last movie in some sort of mirror? I can't remember now. But evil Chloe is new. Then we check back in on the Queen of Hearts. She wakes up in her throne room and she is trapped in there by magical vines. Maddox Hatter had stolen her deck of cards that she used to send Red a message. The deck of cards is magical, and so I believe that's how Maddox was able to do that. Then we check back in on the teens in Wonderland, and Red is like, this is not the Wonderland I grew up with, because it's all happy and pretty now. And Pink hands her a pink spotted tickler rose and says, it's your favorite, a thing that Red should probably know, but she doesn't. Meanwhile, Maddox is using his dodo bird drones to spy on them, and he gets a villain song called Mad, and then he uses the magic to make some of the Wonderland creatures evil and has them chase the teens. Max gets a verse in the song where he says that he's trying to break free of his father. The Queen of Hearts begs Maddox to let the kids go, and he says no. And at the end of the song, Luis drags Red through a doorway, and they are able to escape the madhouse that Maddox had corralled them into. I don't really like this song. I also don't love that a grown man is singing. That's not the vibe I want from Descendants. The Descendants Wicked Wonderland album actually has a version of this song where all of the teen girls are singing, and I do prefer that version, though I still wouldn't say it's one of my favorites from the movie. Now Luis and Red have to try and find the others, and Luis is like, well, this should be easy. This is like your backyard. And Red's like, uh-huh. Yep, totally. And she's having trouble finding them, and finally angrily admits to him that this isn't her backyard. And Red is like, imagine being shut off from the world, and you finally get a taste of freedom, and you screw it up for everyone. And Luis is like, hey, I understand family legacy. Which is not really what she was talking about. But again, I guess he has no reason to think that she's talking about being from an alternate dimension, so he's like, I kind of relate to being stressed out. Here's what I can offer to the conversation. And he's like, being strong is what everyone wants from me. And she's like, but what do you want for you? And they really bond over that. Meanwhile, Cinderella finds out that the kids went to Wonderland, which she's upset that they did that. But she decides that she now has to step up, and she's going to use a mirror portal that her and the Queen of Hearts have that connects their two kingdoms, and she's gonna go to Wonderland. But before she does that, she changes into pants. She goes to Wonderland, and then Prince Charming tries to follow her, but then Maddox breaks the portal and traps the queens in the throne room. Maddox then covers the entire palace in vines and closes off the rabbit hole. Then, seemingly based on sheer luck, the teens all reunite in the forest, and Chloe spots a dodo drone up in the trees. She suspects that this drone is from Maddox, and she wants to rewire the drone to spy for them, which I don't know if we've gotten any indication that that is within her skill set. Meanwhile, Max and Red want to just destroy the drone. We have some comedy of all of the teens trying to get the dodo bird down, and then the bird calls for more birds to come, and they decide to get out of there. And Chloe is very mad that no one listened to her idea. We also realize that Robbie, Robin Hood's son, and Felix, Facilier's son, are not with us. They somehow got lost, and they are somehow in a teacup in the ocean. The kids are super off course, so they decide to camp out for the night under some magical tree, and Maddox sends Aquafina Cat to go and cause some drama. So Aquafina Cat whispers in everyone's ears to make everyone mad at each other, which then incites a dance battle. This song is called Did You Hear About Them? It is a dance battle between Hazel Hook and Luis. All of the villain boys are Hazel's backup dancers, and all of the hero girls are Luis's backup dancers. The song has a real Spanish influence to it. I love it. This is my favorite song in the movie. I get it stuck in my head. I think it's a fun time. In the end, Hazel wins the dance battle, but then Awkwafina Cat whispers in Pink's ear, like, a villain wins? After what a villain did to your mom? And so then Pink argues that the villain kids might be in on it. And I may be the little sister, but I'm not afraid to say what everyone's thinking. Then Chloe confronts Red about her siding with the VKs and blowing her off after her not very good dodo idea. And Chloe's like, if you're not gonna listen to me, I don't know why I even came. And Red's like, I thought you came to help clean up the mess we made. Then Red goes and talks to Max, and she's like, sorry about Pink. I still want to try and help out your dad because I still believe there's good in him. And Max is like, he went crazy trying to find this thing he saw in high school, some kind of time machine, which is ridiculous because time travel isn't real. And then Red is like, uh-oh, oh no, he's evil because of me. But the two of them start to come up with an idea to get Maddox to bargain with them for the queens. But they need something that Maddox would be willing to bargain for. Then we check in on Hazel and Chloe, and Hazel's like, you and your leader are on the outs. And Chloe's like, Red's not my leader, she's my friend. And Hazel's like, right. Like the Smees are mine. Listen, Red's the alpha. It's just nature. You can't change it. And Chloe's like, you'd be shocked what you can change. Because she's upset that everyone and everything is different, which, hey girl, you changed the past. So, and then Hazel says that having a villain as a father, she learned to rely on herself and not trust anyone. Which is not really true, because she's constantly conferring with Max and seems to trust him and have his back. And to the extent that you can rely on the Smees, she seems to like them. But Hazel warns Chloe to be wary of Red. Then Felix and Robbie make it back from the ocean, and Red and Max come in and tell everyone their plan, that they are going to steal the oraculum. The oraculum is Maddox's most prized possession, and so if they steal it, then they can bargain for the queens with that. I looked up the oraculum to see if it was some Alice in Wonderland thing I wasn't aware of. It seems to be from the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland movies, but it also seems to be different in those versus what it is here. Here, it's like a device that you look into it and see other worlds. Maddox is meanwhile getting annoyed with them, so he decides to shrink them all down and put them on a chessboard. And then Awkwafina Cat shows up and says that if they want to leave the chessboard, they have to capture the king, because they try to step off the chessboard and an evil flower tries to kill them. So they have to play a game of chess against these magical chess pieces, which kind of feels like the Boy Wizard books by the transphobic lady. Once I make my move, the queen will take me. Then you're free to check the king. Ron, no! What is it? He's going to sacrifice himself. No, you can't! There must be another way! So Chloe first sends Robbie forward as a pawn, and then he is chucked off the board. And then everyone's like, ugh, obviously this wasn't going to be a straightforward game of chess, Chloe. And Hazel's like, get your head out of your tiara, princess. And Chloe's like, it's just the first move. Let me try again. And they're all like, no, Chloe. Pawn to e4 was a stupid idea. So now their plan is to kind of play dirty. And we get a new song called Dancing with the Enemy, which is a dance battle with the chess pieces. Over the course of the song, we also lose Felix and one of the Smees to magic chess pieces. Then the king piece goes up super high so that they can't reach it. And Red uses Chloe as live bait for the evil flower, so that then Hazel can use the evil flower and sort of slingshot Red up to where the king is so that she can checkmate the king. I was not fully following what that was the first time I watched this movie. I have now seen it multiple times, and it has become more clear. But after the song, Chloe is super upset and betrayed, and I was like, what's she mad about now? And then they explain it with words, in case if you didn't catch it, which I didn't catch it the first time. I think sometimes when there's a lot of dancing and choreography, it's hard for me to really track what's going on. It's kind of like when I try and watch sports. Like, there's just kind of a lot to look at. I don't know. I think I was just mentally like, we're dancing right now. That's all that's happening. I didn't know I was meant to be watching for flower betrayal. So Chloe's super upset. Max tries to comfort her. She's like, my best friend just used me as live bait. And he's like, you think I don't know how that feels? Which is a crazy response to that. But she does not want to bond with him right now. She sends him away. Conveniently, the chessboard is right next to one of Alice's cookies. Like, this was a picnic basket, picnic chess setup. And so they are able to eat some of Alice's cookies to get big again. One of the Smees, Robbie and Felix, are separated. They're still small, sitting on a flower somewhere. See, like, I think they wanted to have the stakes of when they have a battle, the evil chess pieces can defeat some of our characters to make the stakes feel more real. And so they wanted to have expendable characters for that purpose. But then it's like, well, if it's always the expendable characters, then it doesn't matter, because no one's like, oh no, Robbie's gone. But again, they are not going to make it to their destination in time. So overnight, they are going to crash in the White Rabbit's house. Max is going to sneak out overnight and go to his dad's cottage and try to steal the oraculum on his own. He's like, if we all go and something goes wrong, they're going to think I led them into a trap, versus if I go and I bring it back, they will trust me. So he has Hazel cover for him while he sneaks out. Chloe's still mad. Her and Red argue. I kind of understand where Chloe's coming from. She's upset that this timeline that they're in is different and her mom is different. She thought that meeting her mom as a teenager, she understood her, but it turns out that changing a pivotal time in her life changed her mom, so it kind of doesn't apply anymore. And she also feels like she doesn't know Red as well as she thought she did, which, like, I think canonically they've only known each other for like a few days, so yeah. But I also don't think that she's being fair to Red. Red is trying to save her mom the same way that they tried to save Cinderella, Chloe's mom. I don't think that Red has been particularly rude to Chloe. Siding with the VKs kind of doesn't matter because we're all working together anyway. And it was siding with the VKs in the sense that she chose Hazel during the dance battle, which I thought we all chose Hazel during the dance battle, because Luis ended up on the floor and we were all like, ah, on top of him. So, like, I thought we were all on the same page. I didn't think that choosing the VKs in that context was gonna make Chloe upset. The dodo bird thing, I think, is stupid. I just don't think that dodo bird plan was a good plan. And it's not like Red ignored her plan. She listened to her plan and then said, no, that sounds dangerous. I don't think we should do it. And then Chloe just pouted as opposed to, like, presenting her plan to the group or something. The flower thing, maybe I get, but it's like, they were all going to be ejected off of a magical chessboard. We had to do something about it. I don't know. I think they maybe could have come up with some slightly better things for Chloe to complain about in this movie. They were trying to come up with stuff for her to be upset about, and I think they did not come up with good enough stuff. But her and Red argue, and then Luis comes over and he asks if Red wants to go outside. So the two of them go out and get some fresh air. There's all these, like, magical glowing mushrooms. Red says that she always dreamed of escaping Wonderland, but now she's back and everything's her fault and she's not doing a good job fixing it. And Luis is like, you don't give yourself enough credit. You're here trying to save your mom. You're doing a great job. It's like, not exactly what she was talking about, but I guess you don't know what she's talking about. Then they sing a duet together, which I think is cute. For some reason, in the first trilogy, Ben and Mal, our main couple, never got a duet together, and I think they're trying to rectify that problem. So the two of them have a little romantic duet. They obviously don't kiss, because there's often not kissing in Disney movies. I think Ben and Mal don't kiss until the third Descendants movie, even though they're a couple the whole time. I think if it's a one-off Disney movie, it's more likely that they're gonna have a kiss, but if there's multiple, then they don't. I think that's true of High School Musical too. I think they don't kiss until the last one. But they sing this duet. There's some very ridiculous, like, swirly hand choreography that I don't love, but that's okay. Meanwhile, Pink tries to comfort Chloe. She brings her some hideous tea cake. I don't know who on the props department made this, but those were the wrong colors to pick for that. Chloe goes to compliment Pink and says that she's very, and then Pink interrupts and is like, sweet. Everyone says that. And Chloe's like, I was going to say thoughtful. And Pink's like, I like that better. Like, I don't know. They're both pretty good compliments. We learn that Pink is kind of upset that it seems like Red doesn't seem to like her that much, which we don't get a lot of information from her perspective of like, did it seem like Red used to like her a lot more and now she's suddenly turned, or she's never liked her? I don't know how time travel works. So then Luis and Red come back, and then Red and Chloe fight. Smee number 2 is asleep right behind them the whole time. I sort of already explained their conflict. Chloe is mad that Red seems to do whatever she wants to get what she wants, and Chloe's upset that her mom isn't who she thought, and she thinks that Red is using her and ignoring her. And Red is like, we're trying to save my mom like we saved your mom. You didn't seem to have a problem with the way I did things back then when it was your mom on the line. I think they maybe don't know that both of the moms are trapped in the castle, because why would they? And Chloe's like, you just think I'm a goody two-shoes princess who's tagging along. And Red's like, well, if the shoe fits. And Chloe storms out. Meanwhile, the queens are trying to escape the vines in the castle. And they're like, where's Prince Philip when you need him? And Cinderella's like, well, we could have spent more time with him, but you had to go and date Gaston. And the Queen of Hearts is like, everyone has a bad boy phase. Which, side note, there is speculation as to who Red's father is. I know that there's a King of Hearts, but there's been no indication that it's him. Given the history of Descendants, it's going to be some other random Disney character. Kylie Cantrall, the actress for Red, has indicated that she knows who it is, and she thought it was really cool, but we don't know that yet. Then the queens sing a friendship duet called The Girl I Used to Be, and we get flashback clips from the last movie, at first just taking up the whole screen, but then the clips are in the windows behind them. This song is about growing up and becoming a different person than you were as a child, and now having a daughter and being proud of her. Listen, I just don't care about the grown-ups in this movie. Every time we cut back to them, I was like, oh my god, not more of them. I know that it's Brandy and Rita Ora playing the queens, and everyone wanted them to sing, and so they get a song, and I guess some people are gonna like the song, but I don't really care. And I also don't know how much small children are gonna care about this mom subplot of like moms reflecting on their life and their daughters. Then Max goes to get the oraculum, and Aquafina Cat, who is constantly being an instigator, tells him that he can use the oraculum to see the truth. So he uses it, and he sees the other timeline and finds out that his father was right, and time travel is real, and Red lied to him and ruined his father in this timeline and ruined the good relationship the two of them could have had. So now he's super mad. So he decides to make a magical device to help him get revenge. Then we get a song called Heartless. We start out with Chloe singing about how she feels betrayed and thinks that Red is heartless. Then we get Max making his magical device, singing about how he feels betrayed. And then Max shows up and brings the magical device to Chloe. He has made a cuff bracelet that he offers to Chloe, and she puts it on because she has nothing to lose. And the bracelet turns her into evil Chloe, and it gives her a magical makeover where she now has a dark outfit and hair tinsel. And now the two of them are singing about being heartless together and evil. I think people like this song because it's kind of like moody and emo and rock. I think the verses, especially the part where they're like talk singing about putting on the bracelet, sound super clunky. So I don't love the song. I wish I could have a version that's like just the chorus. But Max and Chloe run off. Then the next morning, Red doesn't want to leave without Chloe. And Luis is like, yeah, and Max isn't here either. And Pink is like, well, Chloe was really upset last night. And Red is like, what do you know about it? Like, annoyed with her for no reason. And Pink is like, I'm not dumb or naive just because I'm bubbly. I know when people are upset or when people don't like me and just tolerate me. But then Max and Chloe evilly run past them. And so Red takes off after them, then Luis follows. Pink is upset that they're leaving her behind again. And she's like, it's like they think I'm disposable or something. And Hazel's like, well, maybe you are if you're just gonna stand there and take it. And Pink's like, good point. And so she runs after them also. And Hazel's like, I am good at giving advice. Red and Luis catch up to Chloe and Max, and Red's like, what's going on? And Chloe says that she wasn't having fun being good anymore, and now she's gonna be heartless. And Max is like, it's funny how things can change with the flick of a switch. or the wind of a watch. And Red's like, oh no, he knows. And she's like, I didn't mean for that to happen. I wasn't trying to make your dad evil. But Chloe and Max run into the hedge maze, and they are going to try and find the Wonderland vault and steal back the pocket watch and change the past again. So they run off, and Red and Luis follow. This one feels like the fourth Boy Wizard movie by the transphobic lady. The hedges are all moving, and at one point the hedges are going to close when Red and Luis need to go that direction. So Luis holds the hedges open with his strength, which at this point his strength had not really been relevant up until now, other than like jokes about him doing a lot of push-ups. So I was happy that it came up during a pivotal moment. Red runs through the hedges, and then Luis is swallowed by the shrubs. So now Red is completely alone. Aquafina Cat shows up to taunt her about how she's ruined everything, and Red sings a song called Who I Am. Then we get a flashback to Red and Pink as children hiding a treasure box in the maze, because Red sees the little treasure box and she remembers her and Pink being children together. I don't know how time travel and timelines work, so I guess that's fine. But I love these small children in these comical wigs. The wigs in this movie were actually quite good. The drama with the last movie is that they had, I think, multiple wig people, and so they were constantly going through different wigs, and the wigs all looked kind of bad. The wigs in this movie are a giant improvement, with the exception of these two children. I think it's just because seeing very small children with colored hair is kind of funny, as opposed to teenagers, where sometimes teenagers do have colored hair, so it's slightly less weird. But now Red remembers about her sister bond with Pink, so she calls for Pink, just like out loud into the air. But Pink is, I guess, nearby enough to hear her. Maybe there's some Wonderland magic at play. And so Pink yells at the maze to let her in so she can find her sister. And then they find each other and have a sister hug and sing a bit of the song together, and now they're friends. Then Red has Pink eat some of the Alice cookies, which makes her really big, and Red runs off after the pocket watch. So Max and Chloe make it to the vault and find the pocket watch, but then Red shows up, and then Pink stamps on the ground, which then causes like a mini earthquake and opens up the ground. And underground, there's a chamber with statues that look like dragons, but I believe are meant to be Jabberwockies, and a mysterious swirling pool. I don't know why this is there. The vault is just a heart-shaped shrub-looking thing that emerges from underground. So maybe this is where the vault is when it's underground, but why does it need a big chamber? I assumed that it was just like in a little hole in the ground. Where does this chamber connect to? Why is it here? This was never set up. We maybe could have set it up at the beginning of the movie when we were putting the pocket watch into the vault and mentioned, oh, there's a underground chamber right here, but they did not do that. So Red then sends Pink to go find the others, and then we have our confrontation with Max and Chloe. Chloe takes the pocket watch, which fell on the ground. She doesn't want to help Max. She wants to make a future for herself. And then Red says that Chloe was right. About what? I don't know. I don't necessarily agree. But Chloe showed Red there was good in her and changed her life for the better. And if she uses the pocket watch again, it'll ruin everything. Then Red sings some of the lines from the song Perfect Princess about figuring it out together, and this breaks through to Chloe, and Chloe rips off the bracelet and throws it across the room. Maddox, meanwhile, with the queens, is angry because he almost won if it weren't for those meddling hero kids. So he sends magic into the chamber, which sends the watch across the room and starts the dragon statues collapsing. The girls save Max from being crushed, and they end up agreeing to throw the watch into the swirling pool that is in the room for some reason. They throw the pocket watch in there, and then we get text on screen over the swirling water that says, "Fate sealed, waters deep, secrets here are ours to keep." The kids all reunite, and they break into the castle, and they trap Maddox under the big chandelier, which is conveniently man-sized. Then the Queen of Hearts yells, "Off with his head," And she's like, oh, where did that come from? And she yells for the guards to come get him. But Red is like, no, this is all my fault. I was too afraid to stand up for what was right and disappoint you. No one asks what the hell she's talking about, because she's talking about how the Queen of Hearts was going to behead Cinderella and Red didn't argue with her because she was 16 and her mom was a murderous tyrant. And so instead of standing up for what's right, she used time travel to fix things. And so it's all her fault, which it is kind of her fault. But how would anyone understand that it's her fault? That would not make any sense to a bystander. But no one questions this, and they all agree to give Maddox a second chance. And then they decide to celebrate with a tea party. Chloe and Cinderella are both wearing hideous outfits, and Chloe apologizes to her mom. Cinderella says that she wasn't honest with Chloe or herself, and so it's okay. Cinderella has undergone a personality change due to time travel, which we are not really gonna get into, I guess. This is another weird conversation that doesn't really make sense, because not everyone in the conversation knows everything that's going on. And then Cinderella is like, so what's the deal with evil Chloe? Because Descendants is just a world where people can be evil and can be turned evil by artifacts. It's like if you had kind of a goth phase. It's like, what was up with that goth phase? Only instead we're referring to being comically evil. Then everybody sings a song called Go Live It, which is like a big group number. My favorite part of this song is Prince Charming dancing back at his castle. I guess he was not available to come shoot with them that day. A lot of his appearances in this movie, his brief appearances, feel like he wasn't available when everyone else was. I mean, I appreciate that they kept him in the movie and didn't, like, weirdly write him out, but it does feel very awkward. People have also pointed out that there's a girl in a wheelchair dancing during this dance number, and then we cut back to her and then she's not in the wheelchair. I think they probably just did multiple takes, and in some of them she was in a wheelchair, some of them she wasn't, and then when they were editing it all together, they were trying to pick the best takes of the main actors, and they did not notice what was going on with this girl. It is funny. Someone should have been more on top of that. And then Awkwafina Cat comes in and says, you didn't think that was the end of the story, did you? And we get a little ending scene of Pink seeing something glowing in the red and pink treasure box. And then we get end credits to the True to Your Heart song from the end credits of Mulan. A little bit of a random choice. But that's the movie. I thought it was so much better than Rise of Red, which is a low bar, but the pacing is really so much better as opposed to really long exposition and world building, and then time travel that then is not super relevant to the future movies in the sense that none of these characters are ever going to be seen again. This one, it's a group of new characters going on an adventure together. We get a lot of great songs. I watched it the morning it came out, and I was like, thank God. I was really nervous after Rise of Red. I was concerned that this was going to be really bad. I still have criticisms of it, obviously. I have criticisms of every Descendants movie, but I think it's an enjoyable viewing experience in a way that Rise of Red was not. Rise of Red felt a lot more boring. But one thing about this Descendants movie that has become the elephant in the room is the cast drama. So, if you are not aware, last year there was a Descendants and Zombies Worlds Collide tour. Zombies is another series of Disney Channel original movies. And they had stars from Descendants Rise of Red in the newer Zombies movies, which are also musicals, go on a tour together where they are all singing random songs from the various movies. Not necessarily songs that those actors sang. So, like, we had some of the stars sing songs from the first 3 Descendants movies, even though we did not have anyone from the first 3 Descendants movies on this tour. It's stars you recognize, singing songs you recognize, not necessarily perfectly overlapping. And on this tour, we had Kylie Cantrall, who plays Red, Malia Baker, who plays Chloe, and Malachi Barton, who is from the Zombies franchise. I do not like Malachi Barton. His Instagram and TikTok bios have a Bible verse and an American flag in them. The clips I've seen of him that he's posted on his social media, I don't like his vibe. When I was explaining all this to my mom, she jokingly said, more like Malachi Fartin, and I thought that was hilarious. And I've been continuously referencing it, and my mom's like, it was not that funny. You do not have to credit me for that joke. And I was like, no, no, no. Au contraire. I need to use that joke immediately. Everyone must know that my mother made a very funny Malachi fartin joke, which then I was telling my friend about it and she did not find it funny, which... Anyway, so on this tour, Malachi met Kylie and Malia, and Kylie and Malachi started dating. They did not date for very long. They had broken up by fall of 2025, and Malia started dating Malachi immediately after and was lying to Kylie about it, and Kylie felt very betrayed. By November, Kylie was working on her new album, which ended up being called Valley Girl Problems. And starting on November 30th, Kylie started posting a vlog series on her Instagram, so just like Instagram Reels every once in a while, titled Life of a Valley Girl. These vlogs were sort of inspired by the narration style of Carrie from Sex and the City. She'd say things like, "It made me wonder, did you have to accept your past to change your future?" And in that first ever Life of a Valley Girl vlog, she mentions that she had just gone through a friend breakup.
The holiday blues. Google definition refers to feelings of sadness, anxiety, or stress that occur during the holiday season. So that's gotta be why I'm feeling an empty hole where my heart should be. Then again, I did just go through a friendship breakup, which isn't the quickest to recover from.
And people at the time were like, does she mean Malia? Then in May, Kylie Cantrall released a music video for her song Carrie Bradshaw. And in that music video, there's a scene where a fan is holding up a poster that says Glass Heart Forever. Glass Heart is the ship name for Red and Chloe. And in the music video, Kylie looks at this poster and then kind of looks sad and walks away. Then this summer, the cast of Wicked Wonderland started their press tour, and Kylie and Malia basically always had a buffer in between them. Usually Liamani Segura, who plays Pink, would sit in between them. There was one press junket where they looked annoyed with each other basically the whole time, and at one point Malia is asked what being part of the Descendants franchise has taught her about friendship, and as Malia is giving her answer, Kylie is fully like rolling her eyes next to her.
I feel like it's taught me a lot. I think there's those friends that you can last and cherish through at everything. And I think those are the people that end up really showing up for you. I think it's taught me a lot about loyalty and trust and being able to value honesty and truth within a lot of situations.
Then, 1 week after the movie came out, Kylie released her album. I say album, I mean EP, because it has 9 songs on it, but it is 17 minutes long because they're all really short. And there are multiple songs on this album about the friendship breakup. The song Closet has a line, "Best friends turn to ex-friends, cut 'em loose." Then the song Girls Like You, "You played in my face for fun, then acted like you did nothing wrong. Now we ain't strangers, girl. I know you and you know me." That quote-unquote apology from ChatGTP. "The least you could do is take accountability. You saw it all unfold on the road. Knew I had him, but you wanted it more. I didn't know you were so damn good at lying. Spent 2 hours on the FaceTime like girl come clean. We hang up, you called back like Kylie please. Please, please don't be mad at me. Girls like you do girls like that. Not a girl's girl and it makes me sad. Wish I could forgive, but I can't forget. And that's why it hurts so bad." And then on the song Space Between, 4 years of friendship that's crazy. So close looked like we were dating. Talked about getting matching tattoos. Just another thing we'll never do. Had me crying on your shoulder at the Holiday Inn, and you're leaving my room to go straight to his. You knew everything he put me through, and I hate that didn't matter to you. Now there's always going to be a boy-sized space between us. When you're with him, do you think of the past? Like how your first kiss was 3 days from our last? And it's sad, but it's true. I don't recognize you. What he's making you do, he got you smoking out in parking lots and balconies, sneaking around behind my back and hiding things from me. I know we said we could share everything, but this is a stretch, like you wearing my jeans. So the two of them are not doing great. As I'm recording this, Kylie just did an interview with Zach Sang, the guy who does those celebrity interviews. I don't like him. I find him annoying. Malia Baker actually did an interview with him a few weeks ago, and now he's doing an interview with Kylie Cantrall. And in that video, she talks about how originally this was not what the album was going to be. All this drama just happened to coincide with when they were working on the album. And so she was not in the mood to be making upbeat dance hits.
Right around the same time that we're going in and starting to write this project, all this shit in my personal life is happening. And I'm like in real time going through like the hardest thing that's ever happened in my personal life. And I'm coming to the studio the next day like, okay, I don't want to write anything upbeat. I want to write sad stuff. I want to like express how I'm feeling and get everything off of my chest. So that's kind of how this EP turned into this kind of separate project.
And she also talks about how she originally wasn't going to make a ballad, but while she was on tour, there was a ballad that her and her ex-best friend would go and sing called Space Between. Space Between was the song from Descendants 2 that Evie and Mal sing as a duet together, and they had Kylie and Malia sing it on tour. And Kylie really enjoyed it. She loved people putting up their phone flashlights and getting all emotional. And so she definitely wanted a ballad on her album. And she does not say specifically, but obviously she named her song Space Between as a reference to singing Space Between on tour.
Yeah. No, that was like the highlight of the tour for me. Like coming out and singing that song every night with her. Like, I mean, who doesn't want to go on stage and sing a beautiful ballad with their, you know, former best friend? Like that was a beautiful moment and I'm always going to cherish it. And it was such a special moment and it impacted me so much that I was like, I need to have a ballad on my next project. And I want this moment in my own show one day. So that's what really inspired me to you know, push to challenge myself and write a ballad.
She also mentioned in that interview that she's kind of ready for her time as Red to be done.
Gotta say, I like the way you pay constant homage and appreciation to Red.
Aw.
It's
But do
very-
you see how it's fading?
Yeah. Well, is that symbolic?
Symbolism.
But your time as Red isn't fading, is it?
I think it might be.
Do you not want to
Really?
complete the trilogy?
I mean, I've had the absolute best time being a part of Descendants and playing Red. And I think like I would like to button up, you know, the story, but also like I don't know, I feel very content with
Mhm.
like how, you know, Red has evolved from Rise of Red to this film and I'm obsessed with I think Wicked Wonderland is so incredible. I'm so proud of it and yeah, I'd be interested to see what happens, but in this point right now I'm so music focused that I feel like it's a lot to juggle. It's a lot to juggle both at the same time, you know?
I don't know what kind of contract she is under. So it's possible that she's saying that she's not going to be in the next Descendants movie. She did say that she wants to finish out Red's story. So it's possible she means she's going to do one more movie and then she's done. But I understand that she's been with Disney since she was 11 years old. So that's been 10 years now. And now I'm sure that having her main co-star be this person who she's had a big falling out with, it's not fun being in these movies in the same way that it was doing the first one. This is just always going to be a thing that's going to happen with Disney stars. You're putting teenagers / very young adults in close quarters with each other, going on tour, performing together, on shows together. They're all young and attractive and immature, and they are going to get into relationships and be messy. And unfortunately, because they're famous, that is going to be very public. I was telling my friend about this and she was like, I would be very embarrassed if everybody in the world knew the boy I dated at 18. As of right now, Kylie Cantrall is 21, Malia Baker is 19, and Malachi Barton is 19. So they were all roughly that age. It depends on where their birthday falls, because this was all a year or less ago. So not very old, very early relationships, not super mature. It does not seem like, to be clear, that Kylie and Malia are like fighting over Malachi. I don't think this is about him at all. I don't think Kylie is interested in him, wants him back, is jealous that Malia was with him. I think she is betrayed that Malia dated this boy who broke her heart and was lying about it. It's tempting to say that they're doing this over him, and I have joked about that before, but it's definitely not over this guy. He was just sort of the catalyst for the bad choices that I was going to say for the betrayal, but that felt forceful, so I didn't say that, but now I don't know where I'm going with that sentence. Then I will also say Malia is being very quiet about this whole thing. She is not posting about it. She is not making any sort of response. She also has said on the Zach Sang podcast that she's not really interested in a music career. She doesn't want to be a pop star, as opposed to Kylie, which that is her goal. So Kylie made this album about this and the press for the album, and so has been very public about her feelings. And as of right now of me recording this, because this is a developing situation and you guys are watching this in the future, so I don't know what's happened yet, Malia has not said anything. Now, is what Kylie's doing unprofessional? Well, when she's making faces in interviews, yeah. I'm not particularly upset with her releasing music about this situation. I think at this point we've had over 20 years of Disney stars releasing music about their love triangles. This is not a new phenomenon. I understand Kylie being hurt, and I hope her music career goes well for her. Maybe let's make the songs a little bit longer. I hope Malia's doing okay. She seems to have lost quite a bit of weight. I noticed it at the beginning of this press cycle. This is overall just like not a great situation for anyone involved. Switching gears entirely to stuff released to promote the Wicked World movie. First of all, we have a book. This book is called Welcome to Merlin Academy, and it is by Melissa de la Cruz. She has written a lot of Descendants novels. There were 4 books for the original movies and 1 prequel book for Rise of Red. I actually recently met her at Romanticycon. I wanted to meet her, and I wanted to meet Gail Carson Levine, and I accomplished both of those goals, but I got her to sign my Descendants book, which was very exciting. Usually, the Descendants movies have time skips in between them, and so these books sort of create a filler story during that gap in time. But this movie does not really have a time skip. So instead, this book is about the original Disney characters attending Merlin Academy. In Rise of Red, we time travel back to the past and we meet all of the Disney characters' parents all attending Merlin Academy. People did not like this. They're like, that doesn't match the canon. The Disney characters didn't go to magic school together. But starting with the first lines in the first ever Descendants movie, we have known that all of the Disney characters live within the same timeline at the same time. They're all geographically close to each other. They all have kids the same age, which means that they are basically the same age. Within the world of Descendants, there's no reason that they couldn't be. We are not very strict about the lore in the original movies. So when that happened in Rise of Red, I was kind of like, sure, why not? Disney loves writing fanfic of their characters hanging out or imagining different versions of their stories. So it makes sense to me that that's a thing that they came up with and that also they wanted to explore that more through a book. I don't super care because these characters are in the past and thus don't super matter. None of this is really going to be relevant to the Descendants movies, to the characters we actually care about and know. I strongly prefer the books when they are about the characters in the movies getting into different shenanigans, but that's not what this is. So this follows Ella, Bridget, Uliana, Hook, Morgie, Hades, and Maleficent. They each receive magical invitations to attend Merlin Academy. I wrote a lot of notes for this section. It's not interesting. I'm so sorry. Super fast version. They all go to Merlin Academy together. Some of them are already doing evil magic, and some of them are already goody two-shoes. Captain Hook is for some reason not yet a villain. His dad is like a ship captain, admiral in the Navy or something, and he's gonna get a big inheritance when he gets back home. He and Peter Pan and the Lost Boys all washed up on Neverland from shipwrecks. Hook was originally the leader of the group, and then they kind of split up. Hook gets bitten by a crocodile, and then Peter cuts his hand off to like save him, and then Hook tries to sail home because he's like, this all sucks, I'm gonna leave, and that's when he gets the letter. He's not really the main character of the book, but we do provide a lot of backstory on him. I don't know why. And you know me, I don't like Peter Pan. I only like Tinkerbell and the Disney fairies, and I don't like any acknowledgement that Peter Pan exists. So I was like, what are we doing? Why is this what we're opening the book with? But all the kids magically show up at the school via invitation magic. And then someone steals Excalibur, which is just like sitting in the courtyard in a stone. Then there's some magic prank hijinks. Both Hades and Uliana keep trying to do magic to like show off. Hades is trying to show off because he's trying to flirt with Maleficent. Uliana wants to show off because she wants to be more powerful than her sister. Her sister's Ursula. And as part of this, Uliana steals Archimedes the owl, his spell book. All of the good kids, Ella, Bridget, and Hook, try to find the spell book. They figure out it's Uliana. Uliana gets in trouble. And then Merlin and Excalibur go missing. I think the person who stole it had returned it, but now they're missing again. So now we're trying to figure out where they went, because obviously we can't do classes without Merlin, and everyone's annoyed because they want to learn magic. The good kids, Bridget, Ella, and Hook, again use some magic to try and track Merlin and Excalibur. They find a tower in the forest. Then they ask Uliana for help. They're like, we'll clear your name because we know that you didn't do it because you were already in trouble from the prank stuff. So you were busy being in trouble. So we will help you clear your name if you help us find Merlin so that we can go back to class. She tries to help them. It's unsuccessful. Then Madame Mim shows up and she's going to be a teacher at the school. Madame Mim doesn't want to help them either. At this point, both Archimedes and Madame Mim seem really suspicious. The kids are like, are they in on it? But then Archimedes explains he was trying to use dark magic to find Merlin, which wasn't working. So he tries to help them. But then Madame Mim traps Archimedes in his office. And they're like, oh no, Madame Mim is evil. It must be her. But they take Archimedes' advice and they use magic to make doubles of themselves to trick Madame Mim into thinking they're still at the school, and then they sneak out, they go into the forest, they find Merlin, and it turns out it was all a test. He faked his own kidnapping to make the students bond and work together, and Madame Mim was in on it. Archimedes was not in on it, so Archimedes is going to be annoyed. And Hades had taken Excalibur to impress Maleficent. There was a subplot with Hades and Maleficent dating, and Maleficent thinking that Hades was not evil enough for her. And the end of the book is Hook deciding that he's going to sit with the villains. This was not very good. I think just inherently the premise I'm not interested in at all. I don't really care about these characters. I was not super interested in this mystery because I know that none of it really matters. None of the Descendants books ever really matter. Some people try to argue that they do. They don't. They are never canon to the movies. Like, nothing that happens in the books is ever going to matter in the movies. They're never going to use stuff in the books in the movies. They are their own separate thing. And this, even more than normal, because it barely even feels like Descendants, because these are not Descendants. They are the origins. So I felt the need to read it because I was like, what if it matters? But I knew it wouldn't. But now I have read it. So now it felt crazy to not mention it at all. But now I'm like, oh, but it's not interesting. And everyone's going to be like, why did you talk about this book? But it's like, what if someone desperately wanted to know what this book was about? And they were like, Sarah, what happened to this book? My name is Sarah. And it's like, well, I did read the book, but I just didn't want to include it. So I am including it just in case you really wanted to know. And now you know. So that's cool. This book is called Welcome to Merlin Academy, A Descendants Mystery, which kind of makes it sound like there's going to be more of them, which I don't think there should be. Disney already has quite a few books and other miscellaneous series that are like Disney character fan fiction. Like the first thing that comes to mind is those Twisted Tale books that are about what if the villain won, or what if this person was evil instead, you know? They already have those, and those seem to be doing well. I don't really know who this would be for, because if you're a fan of Descendants, this is not really Descendants enough to be exciting. And on its own, it's also not that Disney, but too Disney for someone who doesn't like Disney. Like, if you don't care about Disney, you're not gonna like this, but if you do care about Disney, I don't know if you're gonna like this. So I'm not sure what's going on with this book. Then they also did a lot of promotional merch. So they did some branded nail polish with the brand Ella Mila. These had the shade names Bold Rain, Hatter's Revenge, Auradon Skies, Charming Butterflies, Sugar Spell Pink, and Pocket Watch White. Then they also did a promotion with Menchie's frozen yogurt. The flavor was a cinnamon candy apple mix, so not like an original flavor, but a combination of ingredients. And they gave 5 ounces free to the first 50 guests in store on July 17th. Then they also did some juice with pressed juicery. These flavors are Enchanted Greens, Happily Ever Citrus, and Auradon Acai Berry. Why are these the merch tie-ins we did? I don't know. Then they also did dolls, which I was, of course, excited about. They did a red doll. I was originally not going to get the Red and Chloe dolls because I already have the Red and Chloe dolls from the last movie, but I have decided that I do like these dolls better. There's also a red singing doll that sings Perfect Princess. There's a Chloe doll, and I think her outfit in this is so much better than in the first one. Her terrible stretchy pants and her little weird jacket. There is also an Evil Chloe deluxe doll. Then there is a Hazel Hook doll, which she's probably my favorite character, so I'm very excited to have her. And a pink doll. Look, we match! Then red and pink each got Tea Party reveal dolls. So reveal dolls are packaged so that you have to do an unboxing gimmick. Like you have to take them out of the box, and they have a lot of bonus outfit pieces that you have to unbox. And it's supposed to be exciting for children. But because of the unboxing gimmick, these dolls and their clothing pieces are kind of cheaper quality than their main dolls, which is a shame because I do like specifically Red's Tea Party outfit. I think her hair with the printed on hearts looks really cool. Then there is also a Red and Max 2-pack. The two of them also come with the Aquafina cat. This is a shame because I like Red in this outfit, but I don't really want Max, and I definitely don't want the Aquafina cat. And also, since it's sold as a set, it's more expensive than if you were to just buy one doll. So I'm probably not going to get that, even though I think Red looks really cute in this outfit. It is a weird choice though, because it's not like Red ever wears that outfit when she's with Max. And also Red and Luis are a couple, not Red and Max. Then there's also a Queen of Hearts doll and a Cinderella doll. Now, what is next for Descendants? Well, first, there is going to be another Descendants Zombies Worlds Collide tour, only this time we also have Camp Rock involved because there is a Camp Rock 3 coming out in August. The actress who plays Pink, Liamani Segura, is the main actress in that movie, and the main actor in that movie is Malachi Barton, so that's a bummer for me personally. Malia is not going to be on this tour. I believe she said that she's not really interested in being a pop star, so it doesn't really align with her goals. And Kylie is not going to be on this tour because she's doing a tour for her own original music. As for Descendants actors who are going to be in the tour, we have Liamani Segura, though she also counts for Camp Rock, Alexandro Bird, who plays Luis, Kiara Romero, who plays Hazel Hook, and Dara Renee, who played Uliana in the last movie. They keep having Descendants tours, and I keep thinking, should I go to that? Would that be funny content? And then I think, you wouldn't like that. Don't go to that. I've seen clips from it. It looks loud and bright. A lot of small children running around. But if that sounds like something you might like, it might be coming to a city near you. Then there is going to be a Descendants short form show called Descendants Locker Diaries. This is going to be 10 episodes long, and they are vertical episodes filmed as though they're recorded from within a locker. They're going to be about 3 minutes long and continue to release throughout August, so they're not dropping them all at once. Apparently Locker Diaries is not a new thing for Disney. They have done Locker Diaries for multiple other franchises. Then recently there has been rumors of a Descendants spin-off called Hidden Heroes. This is a spin-off film with different characters going on a different adventure. We don't currently know a lot about it, and because of that, I don't want to accidentally give you false information, so I will post information in short form videos as more information is confirmed. And of course, we are most likely getting Descendants 6. What does that mean? Is Kylie gonna be in it? We don't know. But considering Descendants 5 just came out, that would be a ways off. The way that the cast talks about it and responds to questions about it in interviews does make it seem like it's definitely happening, but time will tell. But that's all I have for you today. A big thank you to my patrons, and a special shout out to Austin Poston, Checkered Omega, Court, Devonium7, Jillian, Lauren, Megan, and Melanie Mermaid. I have a Patreon where I post monthly bonus content. It's just another way to support me, no pressure. I'm Sarah Seraph on all social media, and I don't know how to end a YouTube video. So bye! Malachi Barton.